Hello and a very warm welcome to each one of you. And today we are reading about You Are the Only One Worrying About Your Appearance from this amazing book, The Courage to Be Disliked. So let's quickly hop into the book and read what is the conversation between the philosopher and the youth. All right. You are the only one worrying about your appearance. Philosopher. Let's tie up the loose ends. At the outset, you expressed dissatisfaction with Edler's definition that all problems are interpersonal relationship problems, right? That was the basis for our discussion on feeling of inferiority. Youth. Yes, that's correct. The subject of feeling of inferiority was too intense, and I was on the verge of forgetting that point. Why did you bring up the subject in the first place? Philosopher says, it is connected with the subject of competition. Please remember that. If there is competition at the core of person's interpersonal relationships, he will not be able to escape interpersonal relationship problems or escape misfortune. Youth, why not? To which philosopher says, because at the end of the competition, there is a winner and a loser. Youth, it's perfectly fine to have winners and losers. Philosopher, give some thought to it then. If it were you, specifically, who had consciousness of being in competition with the person around you, in your relationships with them, you will have no choice but to be conscious of victory or defeat. Mr. A got into his famous university. Mr. B found work at the big company. And Mr. C has hooked up with such a nice looking woman. And you will compare yourself to them and think, this is all I've got. Isn't that true? When we see ourselves around such people who have attained a lot more than us, the classmates, the class fellows who were studying with us in the same class, not so cool, they were a certain way wherein we thought that they are big losers. And when you see yourself, and if you start comparing yourself with them, and find them in a better place than you are, what will you feel? You will start feeling inferior, isn't it? Youth. That's pretty specific. Philosopher. When one is conscious of competition and victory and defeat, it is inevitable that feeling of inferiority will arise. Because one is constantly comparing oneself to others and thinking, I beat that person or I lost to that person. The inferiority complex and the superiority complex are extensions of that. Now, what kind of being do you think the other person is to you at that point? The moment you start comparing yourself with anybody, you will always have in mind, you will not be, first of all, relaxed at all. You will keep on comparing yourself whether I'm ahead of that person or I'm lagging behind. And that will not allow your own authentic self to come up. And the reality is that it's absolutely all right to be a little less or little more than anybody else. Everybody has their own unique quality. Isn't that true? Youth. I don't know, a rival, I guess? Philosopher. No, not a mere rival. Before you know it, you start to see each and every person, everyone in the whole world as your enemy. Isn't that a bold statement? Youth, my enemy? Philosopher, you start to think that people are always looking down on you and treating you with scorn, that they are all enemies who must never be underestimated, who lie in the wait for any opening and attack at the drop of a hat. In short, that the world is a terrifying place. And again, he proves that we are the ones who have complicated our own lives. Life is simple. Remember, he said in the very beginning of the book. So he says that the moment we start thinking, and if we take it upon ourselves that others are also thinking about us like that, we start looking down. We feel that people are looking down on you, or they are looking you as a superior. You know, the entire trajectory, your body language, everything starts shifting the moment you feel that people are also judging you just the way you are judging others. Why to compare them, right? Youth, enemies who must never be underestimated. That's who I am in competition with. Everybody says, right? Enemies को कभी underestimate नहीं करना चाहिए. और आप जब आप किसी के साथ कंपटीशन में होते हो तो आपके सामने वाला आपका एनिमी होता है, राइट? व्हेन यू आर इन अ रेस, द पर्सन just next to you is a competitor. He's not a very good friend. Even if it is a friend, you will be in competition with that person. For that moment of time, that person is your enemy. Isn't that true? Philosopher. This is what is so terrifying about competition. Even if you are not a loser, even if you are someone who keeps on winning, if you are someone who has placed himself in competition, you will never have a moment's peace. You don't want to be a loser. And you always have to keep on winning if you don't want to be a loser. You can't trust other people. The reason that so many people don't really feel happy while they're building up their success in the eyes of society is that they are living in competition. Because of them, the world is a perilous place that is overflowing with enemies. Youth, I suppose so, but philosopher, but do other people actually look at you so much? Are they really watching you around the clock or lying in wait for the perfect moment to attack? It seems rather unlikely. A young friend of mine, when he was a teenager, used to spend a lot of time in front of the mirror arranging his hair. And once, when he was doing that, his grandmother said, "You are the only one who is worried about how you look." He says that it got a bit easier for him to deal with life after that. How many of you still remember that when we were really young, we would look at ourselves into the mirror and, comb our hair this way and that way. I'm not looking good, right? थोड़ा सा काजल और डार्कली लगा लेती हूँ, थोड़ा earrings पहन लेती हूँ. If I told you कि nobody is actually looking at you or judging you, wouldn't your life become so much easier? Just think about it. Youth, hey, that's a dig at me, isn't it? Sure, maybe I do see the people around me as enemies. I'm constantly in fear of being attacked, of the arrows that could come flying at me at any moment. I always think that I am being watched by others, that I am being subjected to harsh judgments, that I am going to be attacked. And it's probably true that this is a self conscious reaction, just like the mirror obsessed teenager. The people of the world aren't paying attention to me. Even if I were to go walking on my hands down the street, they would take no notice. But I don't know. Are you saying, after all, that my feelings of inferiority is something that I choose, that has some sort of a goal? That just doesn't make any sense to me. So yesterday or day before yesterday, there was no electricity at my place and the inverter had gone down, and me and my daughter were standing outside in the bright sun, And as the buildings were, there were shadows on the road, I saw my shadow as well. And I told my daughter, let me wave there. And let's see if people actually, see us or not. And it happened that we spent almost 15 minutes every time anybody is passing through that road. We started waving fastly and, rigorously. And we observed that nobody, not even a single person could, they gave a head to it. I was like, wow, man, people are so busy in their own thoughts. They are somewhere else, but they are not looking at what is happening around. And now when I read this, I feel that, oh my God, why do we need to spend so much of time looking at ourselves into the mirror? If if it is like, there are times when you are dressing up, when you are doing things to impress other people, to look better than other people, that's not right. But if you're doing something for your own sake, for your own happiness, that's absolutely all right. Philosopher. And why is that? Youth. I have a brother who is 3 years older than I am. He fits the classic image of the big brother. He always does what our parents say. He excels in his studies and his sports, and he's a very picture of diligence. And from the time I was little, I was always compared to him. He's older and more advanced, so of course I could never beat him at anything. Our parents did not care at all about such circumstances and never gave me any sign of recognition. Whatever I did, I got treated like a child and I was berated at every opportunity and told to be quiet. I learned to keep my feelings to myself. I have lived my life totally steeped in feelings of inferiority, and I had no choice but to be cautious of being in competition with my own brother. And that is exactly what happens when the parents keep on comparing their kids. If you go and keep telling your younger one that you look at your elder brother or sister, how well they are dressed, how beautifully they speak, how they respect, how they, do certain things, how do they score in the school, in the various subjects, there is going to be an inferiority that is going to hit the younger one. Stop doing that. Philosopher, I see. Youth. Sometimes I think of it like this: I'm like a god that grew without getting enough sun. So it is only natural that I will be twisted up with feelings of inferiority. If there's anyone who could grow straight in such situation, well, I would like to meet them. And it is very beautifully said that एक है मीरदास नाम से एक स्पिरिचुअल सेंट है हु सेज दैट पीले पत्ते को दोष क्यों देते हो, जब उसको पानी ही पूरा नहीं मिला तो उसको वो हरा कैसे हो जाता. If your kids are deprived of some kind of love, the appreciation that everybody wants, the recognition that every child wants, he is going to be a little twisted. And if you see that in your child, now you know the reason. Things can be mended. And if your kids are young, start mending it right away. Right? This is very eye opening to me. Philosopher, I understand. I really do understand how you feel. Now, let's look at competition while taking into consideration your relationship with your brother. If you didn't think with a competition orientation with regard to your brother and your interpersonal relationships, how would people seem to you? Youth. Well, my brother is my brother, and I guess other people are another story. Philosopher. No, they should become more positive comrades. Youth. Comrades? Philosopher. Earlier, didn't you say I can't celebrate other people's happiness with all my heart? You think of interpersonal relationships as competition? You perceive other people's happiness as my defeat? And that is why you can't celebrate it. However, once one is released from the schema of competition, the need to triumph over someone disappears. One is also released from the fear that says, maybe I will lose. And one becomes able to celebrate other people's happiness with all one's heart. One may become able to contribute actively to other people's happiness. The person who always has the will to help others in times of need, that is someone who may properly be called your comrade. How beautiful is this? This means that you need to have a very big heart, beautiful soul who knows, who has a heart to serve, who has a heart to help others without being into the competition. And then you will be known as a comrade. Youth. Philosopher. Now we come to the important part. When you're able to truly feel that people are my comrades, your way of looking at the world will change utterly. No longer will you think of the world as a frivolous place or be plagued by needless doubts. The world will appear before you as a safe and pleasant place. And your interpersonal relationship problems will decrease dramatically. Youth, what a happy person you are. But you know, that's all like a sunflower. It's the reasoning of a sunflower that is bathed in full sunshine every day and nurtured with ample watering. The god grown in the dim shade doesn't do so well. Again, the youth is coming back to the same thing. When so no normal human being, he wants to be recognized, he wants to be appreciated, he wants to be happy, and all of it, they want love, respect, everything. And this youth is again coming back to the point that you talk as if you have got everything. You are like a sunflower who has got enough water, enough sunshine. What about the bottle god who got grown in the shade, which did not get enough water? Philosopher, you are returning to etiology, the contribution of cause again. Youth, oh yes, I am sure. Raised by strict parents, the youth had been oppressed and compared to his elder brother ever since childhood. None of his opinions were ever heard, and he was subjected to the violent words that was a poor excuse for a little brother. Unable to make friends at school, even at school, he spent all his break times alone in the library, which became his sole place of refuge. This youth, who had passed his early years in such a way, was truly an inhabitant of etiology. If he had been raised by those parents, if that elder brother had never existed, and if he had not attended that school, he could have had a brighter life. The youth had been trying to participate in the discussions as cool headed as possible, but now his many years of pent up feelings came bursting out. So that is the tragedy, I would say, that the kids are not, even the kids in the same house are not treated equally. कुछ कमी रह जाती है जिसकी वजह से there is some twist in that child. And now that the youth is talking and talking and talking, he's trying to be cool headed, but now many years of pent up is coming, and it is bursting, it is going to burst out. Tomorrow we will be stepping into From Power Struggle to Revenge from the same book. And it is going to be an interesting read because you know how the struggle became revenge is something I'm assuming that it is coming from the two brothers itself. But let's see what does it hold for us. I hope you show up tomorrow and we shall read this together. Take care, good night, and have a wonderful day. Good night.